viewers, I want to thank you for joining me, your host and humble servant, Mr. David Rogerson, and my wonderful co-host, Hugh, unbeknownst to me, who's joining us remotely today. Shocking developments. Are you guys going to be able to handle our man in his study, the great big case, Mr. Casey Fields, who will be joining us live via satellite, as they used to say. Mr. Fields, how are you doing?
Good, brother. How about you? Good to see you.
Shit, yeah, dude. I didn't know you weren't going to fucking show.
I'm in the Manson library.
Good, look at this shit, dude. People, I've never seen this. The dude never reveals his lair. Look at this shit.
What do you need?
Yeah.
I don't have Jet the Pigs though.
Yeah, not many of you bitches do. And let me tell you, this is a fine piece. I'm going to share some of the wisdom within with y'all later as it comes up, because today we're going to talk, interestingly, this is kind of a thing when you're not in the Manson milieu. Maybe it's hard to understand the idea that we as grown-ass men approaching 60 years old can worry about other, as we say, grown-ass men of the similar age that we've never met, such as our buddy that I feel akin to simply from a relationship I've had with him on Facebook. We've messaged a few times, different people like this, Ivan Pooh, and even in a bigger role, because someone I've talked to quite a bit on the phone who I've developed a relationship with, and I feel he's gifted me with some wisdom, and just his acquaintanceship has made me feel better as a man. And that's Mr. Michael Brunner. So when people who are new to this Manson milieu, like I say, don't understand why we might be so affected, Casey and I, about these people who are children of Manson family members, I hope that some of this can illustrate that we've been gifted later in life as we understand the shortness and preciousness of life as men. We have to be blind as men to get through life. We have to lie to ourselves. We have to make a lot of promises with nobody to get through the day, to keep the lie alive so that we stay alive. You know, if it weren't for women, we'd be bereft, absolutely being bereft. And you know who knew that more than anyone, Casey, of course, is Mr. Charles Manson, and why we're here
Thank you.
talking. And that gets misportrayed a lot. I don't think he was a good man. I don't think he did all things with the best of intent, but his love and these relationships with these people and what he passed on genetically to some people that you and I have been gifted these relationships in the most weird of ways. Like, how wild it sounds outside of this community. But I have spoken to Michael quite a bit. I have these true feelings for him. And so what I was hoping to talk with you about and share on a more emotional note this week, Casey, is what you shared with me and why I'm looking at the table and feeling pretty uncomfortable.
You're looking good though, brother.
Well, you found some materials, Casey, in your research that I respect so much that was really hard to even hear about. And you're going to read some of these passages today. And then I'm going to read some passages out of this. And I hope some of these children understand that we empathize
Mm-hmm.
and we understand their very, very unique positions in society and in this world, and that we might have some bit of understanding as to how they operate and offer them emotional safe harbors as friends, as men that we have these relationships with, but also, hey, as commentators and journalists, I feel they both deserve better. Ivan Pugh and our dear friend, Mr. Michael Brunner. So please.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have come across this information if it wasn't for a couple of really great researchers. One that's probably the predominant expert on Bobby Beausoleil, who I think I mentioned last week, and then another that really knows Mary's life probably better than anybody that's not really a part of the family. That for a researcher, she really knows her. But uh, so this information comes from a set of transcripts that aren't available on clodrive.com for once. Shout out to Bo still. But
Every time, baby. We
yeah,
love you,
every
Bo.
time. But these were actually some transcripts that were destroyed because I believe Bobby's original trial, since it was a hung jury, they just got rid of the
Oh,
files.
so this is about just normal procedural paperwork things within the LA County system because they can't keep every record forever
Yep.
in hard copy. Is that kind of what we were looking at?
Yeah, I mean, our dear friend that was with us last week, James Dawson, right?
Oh, dear James.
James has done an amazing job of trying to go and get a lot of these transcripts that are missing, and he's contacted the different courts, whether it be
Ah,
L.A. or Santa Monica, and he's asked for the stenographs, right? And sometimes they don't even have those. The only reason that we're able to get this today is because the prosecutor in the DA's office in Bobby's case, Burton Katz,
ah,
included this in his Burton Katz's book.
oh, whoa, 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 whoa. There, hold up. Now, Burton Katz's book, I've heard it referred to, and I must confess now, shamefully, Twilighters, woefully ignorant. Could you plug us in and help me out? Because I guess I'm going to need a copy of this. Or is it a hard to find book?
No, it's actually pretty cheap. I bought a hard
Oh,
copy for about 750. I've seen soft editions for around $5. You should
oh,
be able to find it anywhere on Amazon or
I
eBay.
thought you meant 750. I was like, what's up, baller? Like, I thought I was a tough guy
No,
buying this for 500. I was like, yeah,
yeah.
DDP, fool. What's up? Got that death of pigs. What's happening?
So
$5 bills. You're over
the
here talking about 750. Oh, it was nothing. I was like, well,
yeah,
damn,
seven
JC.
dollars. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we're getting rich off this Manson shit. It's like, god damn. I had to shovel my way through all the cash Twilighters to get up here to you 240 some odd subscribers. Praise God. Man, we were just cashing in on this thing. And uh that kills me because the book is actually reasonable. And now what is it called?
It's called Justice Overruled.
Okay, because I've heard that
Justice
title.
Overruled.
Okay, okay.
And
So
on
that's a
the
pretty early piece, right?
I think it came out in 1997.
Really? I thought that
Yeah.
was okay. I always associate that with more like Day Shin era. I
He wrote
really
he wrote this book after he was a prosecutor. He by this point had become a
okay,
judge. And
sure.
so even on the cover it says Judge Burton S. Katz.
Well, it always sounds way better. And then if you think about it, once you're out of jurisprudence, then it's actually moral to write a book. So some of this might be worth something as opposed to these other people like Dave Shin and them who are actively involved in the case and cashing in. Like, what the hell?
So Burton Katz was prosecuting Bobby Beausoleil, and Beausoleil really early on requested to represent himself, and Judge Keen, I don't know if you might remember him from Divorce Court. He was on the TV
Absolutely.
show, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
So Keen gave him permission, and amazingly, Beausoleil did a pretty impressive job representing himself. He was assigned a public defender, which basically just counseled him and helped him with the prep. But when it came to cross-examining and all that, like he did it all himself. He made the arguments. And I wanted to read this quote to start off. This is from Burton Katz about Bobby Beausoleil.
Cool.
He said, I was impressed with his ability to frame a comprehensive question and ask the appropriate follow-up questions. He also interposed objections, and while they fell on deaf ears, they were quite well done. I couldn't help but thinking about Beausoleil's natural gifts. He was handsome, articulate, intelligent, and a quick study. What seed or gene had distorted an otherwise almost perfect genetic blueprint, allowing him to execute another human being, a friend?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you right fucking now.
Please.
I've been at that exact crossroads. Hey, I'm no Bobby fucking Beausoleil over here, but I didn't understand I was working with something above the neck until much later in life. I
Mm-hmm.
really had a dim view of myself as a human. My family didn't work out. I worshiped my father. He was completely unavailable. I was alone, bereft, living around a gas station, much like Bobby Beausoleil, experimenting with drugs, much like Bobby Beausoleil, around music, much like Bobby Beausoleil. I yearned to be a biker. The leather, the chrome, the throbbing bike, the power, the way they moved in a vicious pack. Just, it was it. Noise, the excitement. That's what made me forget my father. LSD took me to a place my father could never go. You know, I had to outstrip and exceed this person in everything I did. Well, when it came to violence, when it came to enforcing things, when it came to being a biker, I had so much to prove. I had so much to prove.
Mm-hmm.
I dove into drug dealing. I dove into proving myself. I was 16. I was doing much more physically violent, nefarious, ugly, and ultimately the ultimate evil act this side of a rape. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're taking lives and shit, bro. It
Yeah.
was fucking ugly. But I never got fucking caught. My shit can't be prosecuted because everybody's dead, bro. I'm only talking now because I just don't care. But it was ugly, and I want to share the stuff because it could have been anybody, bro. Like Bobby was beautiful, but Charlie didn't get a hold of him and wreck him or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie was just like a part of a pinball machine, right? You want to bounce some shit off somebody? Well, guess what? Charlie's the man for that. He'll fucking pinball your shit all night. And it's a good thing for dudes like me. But if you get fucking caught or you go psychotic, like he did, I think he was in a psychotic state, in an active psychotic state when he was arrested.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you and I have personally discussed that privately and here on air as well. And that was just, that was a matter of record. The cop, he's walking around with a bloody murder weapon, all fucked up and bloody
Crazy.
himself. Gets told he can't run around with a weapon like that in public. What's a fucking guy do? Takes the murder weapon, puts it in the murder victim's stolen fucking car, running around with the murder victim's blood on him to just go back to the same place and have dinner or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the fuck he did. Like,
Yep.
wow.
It's wild.
Just poor dude. And he wanted to go see his daughter. Well, let me tell you something, bud. You've met my daughter plenty of times. How many people do you think I would kill for her? To see her, to have her breathe on me?
Oh, you wouldn't stop, bro.
Dude, that's all I'm saying, dude. That's all it is. Just bring it on. I'll love it every moment of it because when I hold my child, it'll be absolutely worth it. And he never, this is like I say, Ivan Pooh, bro. Fuck, bro. I'm so sorry because we've spoken, but I'm going to talk this. The girl, bro, never touched any of his children in a free
Zinda.
state.
Yep.
He just wanted to hold his daughter when she was fucking born, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. You want to see me fucking get fucked up and start crying on the internet like a fucking kook?
You do if you
I'm
have.
thinking about my daughter, dude. The first time I held her, dude, when she came out of my wife, bro, and that whole God thing happened, and she looked like a fucking gray alien, and somebody blew a booger all over. And I was like, fuck, is it John? You know, and I'm right there, and I had a big deal with the worked out with the doctor about how I wanted these fucking righteous scissors because I wasn't gonna the first action of a father to the child cutting that umbilical cord. Boy, I fucking did that shit.
It's better than doing it with a guitar string.
Bro, the heroics, the biblical heroics, the Greek tragedies, the extreme love ballads of Troy. How much of that shit could stand up to any of these stories, A? But all of those things in a modern day story that had a Beatles soundtrack and a fictitious backdrop written by Vincent Bugliosi, like, holy shit. And then you've got these children like Ivan Pooh's sister who never was held that night. What about that girl, man? Like, I wonder about her. She's
She
my
seems
age,
cool,
bro.
man.
Like,
Yeah, she seems really cool.
I don't even know, dude. But what I'm saying is, my dad left because my mom was terrible. Yeah. And I wrote some shit on the back of my dad's 55 Cameo pickup, apparently,
Mm-hmm.
that my dad shared with me later in life. I only got to hang out with my dad as an adult alone one time because you always have these broads around ruining everything. And this broad ruined our lives. And it was my dad's first wife, my mother, who, anyway, I wrote apparently, don't leave me. Ah, right. So you've got this dude with these children, and then he knows the yearning that has been created by his loss, his vacuum. Meanwhile, he was just trying to be the same kind of dude I was trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
Hanging out at the gas station with the bikers, literally Chevron station on China Lake Boulevard in Ridgecrest, California, brother. Paget's too. They had two locations. I was hanging out at Paget's with my boy Ouch. Couldn't wait to have a bike. Dude, selling methamphetamines, shanking people, fighting Mexicans. What? Just fuck out of here, dude. We were woods, bro. Like 714. That's before it went 619. What is it now? 6760, 661, all this shit. Like many area codes ago. But we're getting back to this whole causation of all this harm and stress. And there's this love, Bobby, Mary, Gypsy, all these people that seem to be this sub core of the more sensitive side of this very dynamic and exciting Manson family. Now, do you think that's the case that they had this kind of more calm little portion of this striations of the family, Casey?
I like it that you went there though, talking about the kids and how we really will do anything for our kids, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what finds Mary here on the stand testifying, and I'm going out of the official court records here, and so I'm going to start off with Bobby here. Bobby's acting as his own attorney. He's asking Mary questions in front of the jury, and
Oh,
Bobby
wow.
says, "You love your child very much, don't you?" Mary, "Yes." Bobby, "I would imagine he probably means more to you than anything else in the world. Isn't that correct?" Mary, "Than almost anything." Bobby, "Anything means more than you?" "Yeah." Bobby, "Tell the court what it is." Mary says, it means more to me, Bobby, that I undo what I did to you." Then Bobby says to her, "When you say that, to undo what I did you tell the truth at the time?" She said, "That's right." See, Mary indicated that to the LASO investigator, Charles
Right.
Gunther, right,
Uh-huh.
that
Uh-huh.
that Gunther coerced her into claiming that Bobby stabbed Gary Hinman.
Right. That's the initial testimony, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's at this point that Judge Keene interjects, and the judge questions Mary himself. What he says is, "What did he say?" Meaning, what did Gunther say? Mary said, "He was telling me how wonderful they were, uh, me to be, how everyone out there was ratting on me and bad mouthing me, and how I felt anything for my son, that I owed it to him to give a statement against Bobby." Keene said, "Did that end the conversation between you and Deputy Gunther?" Mary said, "Around this time, I got to crying, and Whiteley came back in the room." Keene, "Now tell us what was said." This is the point where Bobby Beausoleil objects. "Your Honor, I object to the court that the question of the questions of the witness. I am completely capable. She is my witness. I'd like to ask her now, if I may."
Whoa.
Keene said, "All right, tell us what you said and what you tell the officers." He basically just completely disregarded what Beausoleil said.
But dude, you listen to his verbal sparring, and that it was actually procedurally all very correct.
Mm-hmm.
He got about four gestations, you know what I mean, gestures and movements in to make his point.
And
That
this
was
is
very
something
succinct.
I wish we had recreated in like a movie, because I think this would be an amazing scene. So
Well,
without taking
I want to ask one of our viewers who's quite capable of making that happen. And you know who you are out there, Colonel, whoever you are, that this might be a great scene for a future film. Continue, Casey.
So Judge Keene's attention is fully on Mary. Answer the
Right.
question. Bobby's over here on the side trying to object and
Oof.
add his. So Bobby, right after Judge Keene says, "All right, tell us what you said, what you told the officers, Mary." Bobby says, "Your Honor, she has given this information already. She told the court that it was the same as what she testified to, or at least basically. There's a 40-page written statement, Your Honor, of a conversation that happened later after she gave her original statement. And it has been testified to by Sergeant Whiteley that the questions that he asked were based upon the statement given." Keene, "Just a minute, Mr. Beausoleil. Your objection is overturned. He looks at Mary now. "Tell us what you told the officers."
Woof.
Mary says, "I told the officers that Bobby killed Gary. That is the main thing I told the officers." Keene, "What else did you tell them?" Mary, "I told them that Bobby and Gary had a fight. I told them that Charlie cut Gary with the sword. I told them that we had been in that house a couple of days, Bobby, Sadie, and I." Keene, "Was that statement true?" Mary, "Parts of it." Keene said, "All right, what parts were true and what parts were not true?" Mary, "Bobby didn't kill Gary." Judge Keene, "Who killed Gary?" Mary, I don't have to answer that." Judge Keene, "Yes, you have to answer that." And Bobby interrupts, "Your Honor, I object, Your Honor." Judge Keene, You are ordered to answer that question by the court. Judge,
Wow.
Mary, I'll take the Fifth Amendment on that. Keen, you may not take the Fifth Amendment. As I indicated to you, you could not pick and choose what the questions were you wanted to answer.
Ooh.
Mary, I have the right to not to incriminate myself. At this point, Keen threatened to hold
Wow.
Mary in contempt of court.
Wow. Which would have put her in jail for a minimum of 72 hours, right?
Absolutely.
Holy
So,
fuck. So
Bob,
then she's already lost her baby at that point if she doesn't start playing nice verbally in court.
yeah. So
Wow.
both of them are kind of being belligerent to the
Sure.
court right now. So Bobby says the judge, "May I be heard?" Keene says, "Mr. Beausoleil, you may not. Your objection is overruled." Bobby, you haven't heard my objection. How could it be overruled? Keene says, "Just a minute, Mr. Beausoleil." He then said to Mary, "I've ordered you to answer that question as to who killed Gary Hinman." Mary responded, "I'm telling you, I don't have to incriminate myself as you advised me." Judge Keene, tell me in your own words, truthfully, what occurred in that Hinman house to the best of your knowledge. I want the truth. Bobby says, Judge Keene, you're denying this woman a fair trial according to Miranda versus Arizona, according to the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, the Due Process Clause, according to the rights of the Fifth Amendment, according to her rights to have an attorney present.
Whoa, Bob,
Man, but
man,
man, he was well
hard,
prepared. His attorney
hard.
gave us some good info right there, right?
Whoa, dude, I
Yeah.
need that guy on my defense table. Good Lord. Dude, look at the capability. And I think that's what used to drive people crazy when they knew me, because maybe I wasn't living up to all the things they thought I could be. Oh, like Bosley, could have been a great lawyer, could have been a guitar player. He worked with Albert Lee. All the disappointments of life. Blah. But wow, that's incredible. So I can relate to that. Like I'm a
Mhm.
big fucking disappointment for all my gifts. God bless Bobby Bosley, dude. Fuck, that's
So
crazy.
basically, at that point, Judge Keene said, "Mr. Beausoleil, your objection, all of them are overruled."
Ah, Mr. Bosley, you are fucking shit up, picking up dust, my brother. Yeah.
Now, Beausoleil comes back with his little
Woo!
snappy comment, and he says, "All of my objections are overruled, even the ones I'm going to make." Keene looks back at Mary. He says, "Go ahead and tell me what happened." Bobby starts up again. In other words, Keene, Mr. Beausoleil, this is the last time I'm going to tell you. When I'm finished talking to this witness, I will tell you so, and you may ask her some questions. I do not want you to interrupt me. So Bobby and the judge just continue to argue while Mary's sitting there trying to avoid answering the questions, right?
Jesus Christ.
Remember, she had already won her immunity by agreeing to testify truthfully. Uh, and if she admitted that she had lied, she could lose her immunity deal. If she admitted that she participated in Gary Hinman's murder, then she could be charged.
So it was like a double jeopardy,
Yep.
both resulting in her losing her child.
It's a bad spot between a rock and a hard place, right?
Damn it.
So
Damn it.
Mary says the judge, your question was that I tell you everything that went on? And that was your question, right? Keene says, I'm instructing you to answer the question. Mary, I've answered it.
Whew.
So these are now the words of Burton Katz giving some commentary on what was going on. And remember,
Right.
he's right there at the prosecutor's table, probably blown away that Beausoleil's coming back at the judge like this.
Wow.
And Katz says, after several more minutes of arguments between the judge and Beausoleil, a recess was called. During the recess, Mary was remanded back into the custody of the sheriff's department.
Oh,
During the break, attorney Ernest Graves was appointed to represent her, since Mary's attorney was not available. Graves was able to broker a meeting during the break between his client and Bobby. When court resumed, Mary went before the judge, Keene again, and in
ooh.
the afternoon session, she appeared with Graves. This time, Brunner appeared tired and confused. Graves asked for a clarification of Brunner's status if she were to testify fully and truthfully at this hearing. The immunity agreement was reiterated with emphasis that she was obligated, as jointly agreed, to testify in future proceedings against Charles Manson and other family members.
So they had her basically, they had leverage for future testimony?
Yeah, basically her choice is go back to jail.
Oh,
They already gave her a little taste during the break.
sure.
She came in as a free woman, and all of a sudden during the recess, she's being taken into custody.
Oh.
So it's a power flex right there on her, you know.
Again, we get back to these things that sometimes I know when I'm saying them sound hyperbolic, sound pretty grandiose. But again, when you're a young woman, as this as Mary Brunner absolutely was at this time, I think of her, she's like, she could be my granddaughter at
Mm,
my age now. Okay. She has her first child, a
yeah.
young baby, and the state, the state has reached out and told her, you will do these things. So then now she's appeared. So her life is already being dictated by the state. So she's in this big giant building, limestone building built by, for, and about the laws of the state. How is that not akin to facing the Holy Roman Empire
Mm-hmm.
as a young, vulnerable peasant girl? And that's why when I see these things, and sometimes I speak in these huge dramatic tones, Twilighters, that's why I look into the past. It's not hard to compare these things. These are biblical, huge power plays, like you say. A young mother, oh, I will bring you into the dungeons. The judge says. And you got,
she already was in Wisconsin with Mike, right, and her parents, and
sure.
they brought her back to L.A. to
Oh,
testify here, right? So she's back
oh,
in this mess,
oh.
and
Just the nightmare of nightmares. She didn't sign up for any of that. That's the thing. People don't understand. She was hanging with Charlie. She was a very mellow broad. She didn't know what to do with Red. Her and Red were close, but still she didn't know what to do with Red. If Lynn Fromey hadn't been Lynn Fromey, I don't know what would have happened to any of this. But as a result of her glue, the likes of Mary were able to be here, like I say, with Gypsy and these other more mellow characters and these creative people like Bobby. And then to think of them, these gentle souls, these theater people, man, are put in a legal arena again, like some gladiator theater, like these weird puppets. The state has these hands up these people's asses, making them talk and play their little games on this grandiose scale with these huge, huge consequences. Death, death. Please, Casey, let's go. I just had to
yeah.
like,
So I mean, the judge flexed his power on her, right? Put
God.
Pat in custody. She's now talking with this attorney that she likely had never even met before. He
Okay.
just got appointed to her on the fly.
Right on that
Uh,
day.
and so she's starting to see the writing on the wall and know that she's in a pickle here. And
Oh,
so Judge Keene, understanding this immediate change that was about to go on, withdrew the contempt charge against her, right? making it clear that he would not use this to compel her testimony, but emphasized that she was to tell the truth on her own free and voluntary volition, right? So Mary wanted to know if she was free to go back to Wisconsin if she testified for the prosecution. Now Bobby, this just sucked all the color out of him, right? I mean, he's now realizing, okay, she's no longer my witness. She's now
Mm.
got to watch out for herself and her kid. So Kat says that Bosley looked pale and scared, like he sensed that he knew what was coming.
Oh,
So when you ever see like a still pool of water, and if a drop hits it right, it ripples out. It's scientific. That's the word for that is a soliton. Okay, and so basically it's a wave pulse that happens across the water, and a soliton eventually will keep rippling until it comes into collision with something, whether it be a beach or another object. Well, basically, the reason I bring up this idea of a soliton is this what just happened is a soliton. It's a collision course caused by the effects, which are going to end up spreading. This collision course is going to affect the futures of Mary Brunner and Bobby Beausoleil. So Mary says, if I testify today, can I just walk out of this courtroom and go back to Wisconsin? The judge says yes. Her attorney then speaks up, Your Honor, I believe this witness is again prepared to meet the question whether she is prepared to testify in this case. Keene, what is your decision now, Mrs. Brunner? Miss Brunner? Mary, I'll testify. Keene, do you have your assurance that anything that you are going to testify to at this time is going to be the truth, so help you God? Mary, yes. Keene, in its entirety, without question, is this correct? Mary, that's right. So Mary admitted why she ended up changing her testimony. She said, Bobby got the gas chamber, and that to me is the same. What you're doing, the same thing to him as he did to Gary, and you made me part of the second one too. So I filed it, meaning her previous 40-page affidavit statement. She filed that hoping that Bobby would get a retrial and not get the death penalty. Keene then answered Mary to please tell him who has silenced Gary with the sword. She answered Manson. He asked who stabbed Gary, and she responded Bobby. Then Katz, for the prosecution, asked her about the pillow over Inman's face. Mary admitted that she and Susan took turns holding it down, smothering Gary to silence the death rattle after he had been stabbed in the chest by Beausoleil. Katz also wanted to be clear on why she had signed a false affidavit recanting her testimony ahead of sentencing. Katz said to Mary before, right in front of the jury, you contrived the fact that you would execute a false affidavit to secure a new trial for Mr. Beausoleil in hopes that he would not receive the death penalty. Is that correct, as you told Judge Keene? Mary said, yeah. So in the words of Burton Katz, she felt ashamed knowing that her testimony was putting Bobby's life on the line. She wouldn't look over at Bobby in the courtroom. Bobby looked up at her and said, Mary, look at me, please. Now, this is my own words now. This is a
damn.
powerful moment, right? Where they're
Oh,
both desperate. Mary's going through this internal conflict on the stand in front of a bunch of people, knowing that her life and Bobby Beausoleil's lives are completely at stake.
oh my God.
So before she has the chance to implicate Beausoleil, Bobby suggests to the court that Mary was giving false testimony at this time. Perhaps because Whiteley and Gunther had threatened to charge her with murder, which meant she would lose her child. Beausoleil, in effect, threw Mary under the bus and suggested that she was violating her immunity. Bobby said, "Okay, I'll ask you one question and hope that you do get the truth. You testified in my trial previously in April that you saw me standing over Gary's body, but you didn't actually see me stab Gary. But you saw me standing over Gary's body with the knife. Was that the statement? Was that statement correct or incorrect?" Mary responded, "It's like one of those questions, Bobby, that the DA feeds me. Could it have happened this way? But I can't say that it happened that way. Right now, what happened at Gary's house, I did actually see you standing over him. I can't recall right now. I can't picture it right now. Bobby, you lied to save your child. Would you please tell the truth?" Mary, it's a hard question to answer. Bobby, isn't that the answer? Mary, you're right. It isn't the answer. So then Beausoleil asked her, "Would you give me the answer to the question, Mary? Look at me. Would you give me the answer to the question and give me the truth? You know the truth, and you know that that I know the truth." Now, this is the whole reason why I wanted to do this episode today, is really for our friend and brother, Mike Brunner. This
Please,
is a
please.
powerful thing to put on record, and I think that Mike needs to hear it, because he may have heard it from his mom before, but sometimes hearing something from an outside source, right, is even more powerful. So I hope what I'm about to read actually brings some sort of healing to Mike, brings him some kind of peace, because Mike has deserved this for a long time.
He's a great dude.
So Mary then said, "Bobby, I'd do anything. Bobby, anything for your child?" "Uh-huh." Bobby said, "Including lying for him. Is that correct? Is your answer yes?" "Yes." Bobby said, "I want the truth. Did I kill Gary Hinman? Please look at me and when you answer me." The attorney for Mary, Graves, then made an objection on behalf of his client, and Bobby protested. Finally, the judge overruled the objection and poignantly asked Mary, "Did he stab Mr. Hinman?" Now, Mary, already feeling guilt for having her friend Gary Hinman's blood on her hands, right? For going over there and being a part of that murder. Now she's in this situation where Bobby's life is standing right in front of the jury and potentially the death penalty. So his life is now in her hands.
Right. Right.
The
Either way
future of
she
being
goes.
able, and as well as her own life and death, is in her hands, because the
And her
judge is
baby.
telling her, if you don't tell the truth, we're going to prosecute you for the death of Gary Hinman. And her future of being able to raise her son is also on the table, right?
First and foremost, I was just over here in the back yelling about Michael. Like, God, these other things. Casey, you bring up so many cross currents and conflicts and
It's heavy, man.
God.
That's why it would have been incredible
Oh,
to be there in the courtroom to see this
oh,
all going down. It barely comes to life reading it, right? But to
oh,
actually
this is
hear their emotion come out in the moment.
wrenching. Dude, we're barely scratching the surface of it. We're almost at the end of this episode, and I'm
We're
just
almost done.
holy no, I'm just saying, like, guys, slow down, take this in. Picture this as Casey is reading it, Twilighters, please. Because oh my God, this is literally life and death. These people are being torn apart by the state as the consequences of these severe actions resulted in the
Mhm.
death of Mr. Hinman. Oh, Casey, yeah, continue, but God.
So ultimately, Mary is pushing all of her chips in, going all in for the sake of her son.
Of course.
And Mike, I hope you're listening to this, brother, because this is for you, man. But I think that it'd be fair to question a lot of your mom's judgment during that period of her life, right? But this is one thing that you can't question, man. She did it. She went to bat for you. She wanted you in her life. Um, so Beausoleil, basically what happened was is he fought after Mary basically told the truth and said
Yeah.
that Gary was stabbed by Beausoleil, that he committed the murder.
Damn it.
Beausoleil, having no other options, he basically uh, filed a motion for a retrial, and the judge denied it. And he was sentenced to death. We know that the death penalty got overturned, what, a year or two later. Uh, and Mary's challenges weren't over at that point, right? Because
No, she
she
was
acknowledged,
compelled to testify further,
yeah,
correct?
she acknowledged her own participation in Hinman's murder, and despite
Ah,
her contrary previous claims from March and August of '71, and
right.
which she
So
did,
she
so she did it.
painted herself guilty in the Hinman.
Yep.
And what I didn't understand that you'd read, again, this show reveals so much to me as we do it. This is why we keep doing it, Twilighters, aside from our beautiful subscribers who we love so much. Glad you're here with us. It is the fact that you brought up that other detail. Just what a shocking revelation that they had compelled her future testimony against Manson and other members of the Manson family. Just
Mhm.
who knew? That is incredible. So she was able to go back to Michael, but still they had the hooks in her to bring her out
It
for a
makes
longer.
more sense to me now after reading this,
Right.
that when Mary was in Wisconsin, and the DA and the sheriff's deputy showed up in Wisconsin,
Right.
and then and brought her back out, that when Bugliosi in the other trial asked her, she's like, "I'm afraid for my life," and he said, "Who are you afraid of?" He thought she was talking about the family. She said, "No, no, no, I'm afraid of Day Shin, and I'm afraid of people from your office."
Yeah, because you're going to hem me up on a death penalty, is
Yep.
what that meant.
Yeah.
Great Lord. Oh, Casey, thank you. Because when we find pieces like this to help glue some of the puzzle together, these are the things that I'm looking for to help explain why some of these events happen, why people like Mary and Lynn and the girls on the corner stayed loyal to their friends, and
I
just
want to
how.
shoot one more detail at you too, real quick.
Please, please, please.
For years, I've wondered why, both when Beausoleil is interviewed by people, even
Right.
last year's recently by Hamilton Morris, they ask him about the Gary Hinman murder, and he says it was me, Susan Atkins, and another woman. Beausoleil does not say Mary Brunner's name. I wonder if it's because of this. I wonder if her name will no longer come out of his mouth because he's bitter. That's a question I'd like to ask him.
Well, I wondered if it was that or if he was oddly shielding her.
That's what I thought too. I thought that because there was rumors, right, that
Yeah.
it wasn't Mary that it was there; it was Leslie Van Houten.
Right.
But after
Right.
reading this, I'm starting to wonder now if it's a bitterness thing.
That's a whole different angle. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. I didn't get to reading some of this. So, Casey, can I get you to? That's weird. I'm going to ask my co host to come back and talk more about this extended subject on our next episode. Casey, would you consent, my dear friend, to further this discussion? Because I don't want to stop this part of this courtroom drama, and I think we can bring it into Death to Pigs to kind of back some of that up. to kind of get some of these motives square and understand why these friends, men and women, stuck together in such a steadfast fashion against this huge holy American empire. So, Casey, would you do that for us?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it next episode.
Woo! Hey, brother, thanks as always for joining us. And we want to thank you, Twilighters, all you do for us, which is being the best.